In the heart of an ancient city of wisdom and mysticism, I found myself drawn to a bustling marketplace. It was this place where all types of seekers of knowledge from all corners of the world would gather. And I, too, a knowledge seeker, sought something more profound than just the ordinary. Something that would unlock the mysteries of existence, the mysteries of the universe, and to open my mind to the beyond. I just knew that in my travels I was bound to stop in this city. I had to. I needed to. It was like a tug from the universe trying to pull me here, and there I stood. And as I wandered through the streets, whispers of a wise sage named Hermes Trismegistus filled the air. His reputation as a master of alchemy, astrology, and philosophy had reached my ears long before I set foot in this remarkable city. Everyone knew of him, but only few knew him. Many knew his teachings, but only few actually opened their heart to him. And I crossed through the crowded marketplace, and I stood before this doorway that seemed to invite me in with a whisper. And I leaned into that whisper and I followed its trail. I just knew I was being guided to something. In this bookshop, in this dimly lit bookshop, there was a bookkeeper, an elderly man with a twinkle in his eye. He began to notice me as I rummaged through the shelves for wisdom, looking for all that I could find on the great Hermes. He must have felt my desire of the writings of Hermes. He beckoned me closer and spoke in a hushed tone. "Young traveler, if you seek wisdom beyond measure, venture to the Temple of Thoth tomorrow at dawn. There you may have a chance to meet Hermes Trismegistus himself." And with a heart full of anticipation, I followed the old man's guidance. At the break of dawn, I stood before the magnificent Temple of Thoth, its marble pillars stretching towards the heavens. Around me, a small gathering of fellow seekers had assembled, and their eyes were filled with curiosity. I could feel the electricity of anticipation and excitement in the air all around me. And as the first rays of the sun kissed the temple's facade, a figure cloaked in a robe of deep mystery emerged from the shadows. I looked beyond the crowd of knowledge seekers and was drawn to this being like a magnet pulling me in. His presence commanded respect, and I knew instantly that this was Hermes Trismegistus. His eyes, like pools of ancient wisdom, met mine briefly before he began to speak in a voice that carried both gravity and serenity. Hermes shared his insights into the secrets of the universe, the harmony of the cosmos, and the interconnectedness of all things. His words resonated with a profound truth that vibrated within my soul, and I listened intently, captivated by his every word, captivated by his wisdom. And I felt as though the mysteries of existence were gradually unveiling themselves before me. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, Hermes concluded his speech, and the gathered seekers began carrying on their day, each carrying a piece of the sage's wisdom in their hearts to pass along to others. I approached him with gratitude, and he regarded me with a knowing smile. "Seeker of truth," he said, The path to enlightenment is long and winding, but the journey itself is the greatest treasure you shall ever know. And with those words etched into my soul, I left the Temple of Thoth, forever changed by the encounter with Hermes Trismegistus. As I continued my quest for knowledge and enlightenment, I carried his teachings with me, knowing that the ancient sage had illuminated my path toward a deeper understanding of the universe and, well, my place within it. Oh, we are back for another journey into the beyond. This time we shall journey into Hermes Trismegistus, also known as Hermes Thrice Great or Thrice the Greatest. Now, who is this character we hear all about in the world of the esoteric? Well, he is a legendary figure in ancient Egypt and the Greek realms, particularly during the Hellenistic period. He is said to be this beautiful blend or this fusion of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. The Greek god Hermes was the god of communication and Thoth was the god of wisdom. Now, they do have a lot of similarities. The Trismegistus part is said to mean thrice great, hence the nickname after this fusion. The name Hermes derives from the Greek word herma, which means stone heap. Now, of course, there are some that reject the origin and say that it is pre-Greek, so there's that. You know, there's a lot of dispute with history. I mean, if we think about history, we got his story if we really break it down. So that's something to think about as we're discussing all of this. You know, most of what I've read and have come to understand that Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great Hermes, came to be because of Egyptian and Greek syncretism. Let me gather my words. Let me get my words together. Syncretism. Oh, what is that? So basically you have civilizations that were mingling, right? After the conquest of Alexander the Great, Greek began to come into Egypt, and there you have the mingling. So, you know, you kind of got this scenario where it's like, hey, you want to trade some of those grains for that nice brew you got going on there? Let's be friends, you know, wink, wink. And they begin to talk, and they begin to talk about their deities, and they recognize similarities in those deities and in their gods. They began to see Thoth and Hermes as equivalent. Now, I'm not sure everyone did. I mean, come on now, can you imagine? Hey, your God is the same as my God. No, he's not. My God is better. I mean, just imagine. Oh, well. I mean, maybe we don't have to imagine it. I mean, today's world, right? Maybe the syncretism, maybe it was all about harmonizing and, you know, respecting other people's beliefs. And, well, to keep the peace, they were like, yeah, I can see how they are similar. Maybe they are one and the same. Now, also, there was this guy, Marcus Tullius Cicero, that mentions other deities, too, referred to as Hermes. So, you know, I don't feel like it was just the Greek god Hermes and Thoth, because there are other similarities with other gods. And then you even got, well, I'll talk about that in a little while. So, yeah, let me tell you what Marcus Cicero mentions, okay? So there's like this fourth Hermes, let's say. And that was the son of the Nile. And he was also known as Mercury, a god of the Roman pantheon. Now, I suppose this would be like the same syncretism as Thoth and Hermes, the Greek god, because Hermes Trismegistus was also said to be the son of the Nile. And then he mentions a fifth Hermes who was worshipped by the Phineas people of Arcadia, which is around the area of Hermes, the Greek god, right? And he was said to take down a giant in Greek mythology. I was like trying to choose my words depending on where I'm going to put this on, right? So he took down the giant in Greek mythology and then fled Egypt, but not before giving the Egyptians their alphabet and laws. Okay, so we're going to learn that Thoth is actually said to be the inventor of the alphabet and laws and writings and all of that stuff, hieroglyphs. So there's that syncretism, right? And then also with the taking down of the giant, we have Hermes, the Greek god, that does that as well. So that's just another case of syncretism. I also feel like that reminds me of another story of like who else took down a giant and fled Egypt. I feel like there was somebody else. Yeah, I can't think of it right now. But in any case, there may be even more deities that were thought of to be one and the same as well. They just weren't recorded or not as out there in writings as you have the Greek god Hermes and Thoth, the Egyptian god. So, yeah, it's kind of strange that we do have a lot of synchronicities too with deities, though. I mean, especially the threes. Now, think about this one. We've got first, the three with the Hermes Greek god and Thoth, the Egyptian god, and the Hermes Trismegistus, right? It almost makes me feel like there's three separate individuals in this story. And then we've got a lot of female aspects, a lot of triple goddesses. Like one I'm familiar with is a Celtic goddess, the Morrigan. Three sisters or individuals that are one and the same. And then we've got like the maiden mother crone concept too, Hecate, and the Trinity in Christianity. So I don't know. Maybe there's something more to all of that. I mean, maybe all religions and beliefs, no matter the character, share some sort of connection and secret knowledge, maybe even within the three. I don't know. That's something to kind of ponder over, like a side note here. But yes, Hermes Trismegistus. Don't let me get sidetracked, because I will. And the next thing we know, we're actually journeying into a goddess from early Mesopotamia. So now we can see how Hermes Trismegistus, this beautiful blend, this radiant fusion of both Hermes, the Greek god, and the Egyptian god Thoth, came to be known as thrice great. I wanted to journey into them separately because I think it'd be cool to kind of see it from a Greek perspective and an Egyptian perspective and see if, I don't know, if we were in that timeline, if we would actually accept them as one. Okay? So, Hermes, the Greek god. So yeah, obviously we are in ancient Greek region. Now, you remember when I said that there is this debate over where the name Hermes itself actually originates from? Well, some scholars say that it's pre-Greek origin. Well, one theory too is that Hermes is a pre-Hellenic god and that he may had even existed as a Mesopotamian snake god. I mean, Hermes, the Greek god, is associated with the Caduceus, which is, the two snakes that wrap around the staff. So, yeah, I can see that being possible. Ooh, it's like, maybe like a reincarnation thing. Like having a draw towards a certain thing from one's past life or alternate timeline, right? Kind of like snakes or the staff, right? I mean, I've thought about that before. Like, what if all of these characters and all sorts of religions, mythologies, and beliefs are the same and separate in like different timelines? Yeah, that's just another side note to kind of ponder over. I mean, but really think about that. But again, this connection to the Mesopotamian gods shows again how another version of Hermes is connected here, or could be, right? So, yeah, that's very interesting. Now, Hermes, the Greek god, is often presented as being the son of Zeus and Maya, one of the Palladian sisters or nymph. Now, this makes me want to journey into the beyond on Greek mythology. I'm just going to go ahead and say that, but I'm going to stay on track. I'm going to try to stay on track. But you already know we're going to have to journey into that at some point. So, yeah. As the god of communication, he was seen as a messenger god. He had wonderful diplomatic traits and would be known as a patron of rhetoric and language. Now, he wasn't just a talker, because Zeus thought his best quality was his ability to actually keep a secret. Now, as soon as I read that, I was like, ooh, is that code? Is that code for something? Is that code for like wisdom keeping? It's very possible, along with like actual secrets. But yeah, I did feel it was more than just like, whispering in someone's ear a secret to keep, but that he could have been given secret knowledge to keep. So definitely got the messages and the communication down as a god. He's also depicted as having a winged hat or helmet and sometimes winged sandals. And it's said that he was able to travel between worlds. So that's very interesting. Now, in his role as herald, he also fell to, it also kind of fell to him to transport or conduct souls to Hades, the Greek underworld, where souls would go after death. Oh, yeah. And he also slayed a giant. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, how it intertwines. I think I read somewhere before that his helmet was actually given to him by Hades, the king of the underworld, and that it makes him invisible, or anybody who wears it. That's a pretty nice helmet to have, huh? I think I mentioned earlier about him usually holding a caduceus, the two snakes wrapped around a staff. In some depictions, he's shown holding a wand instead. Now, god of magic, perhaps? In some form or fashion? I believe so. I mean, there are scholars that believe he was a god with shamanic attributes that are linked to things like magic, divination, sacrifices, and initiation. Makes me kind of circle back to the thought of the secrets that he held. The staff itself has also been seen as kind of like his authority. It was said that anybody who laid their eyes upon the staff or the magical wand, it could put them to sleep. So that really brought about this idea of Hermes, the Greek god, having authority over people. And in later years, he was worshipped with some goddesses. And in even later years, he would appear in temples for goddesses to be worshipped. So let me just say, my way of thinking is he more than likely displayed some sort of unique balance of the feminine and the masculine energy. I mean, he also is known as the fertility god as well, So yeah, he definitely had to have some kind of balance going on with that feminine and that masculine. Now, later on in years, he was described as a trickster and even a protector as well. And in the 7th century, he became known as the bringer of dreams and a night guardian. So yeah, that is all very, very interesting. He is quite the character with many, many stories, and I'm sure secrets of wisdom to share. Now, what about Thoth, the Egyptian god? He certainly holds a prominent place in the Egyptian pantheon and played an essential role in the culture. known as the god of wisdom, right? So he too was known for communication, knowledge, intellect, and of course writing. Now, he is depicted as a man with a bird head, an ibis bird. In hieroglyphs, you will see his name written as this bird. The symbolism behind this is the long beak, you see, which resembled a reed pen for writing. Now, it is said that Thoth invented the hieroglyph system that was used in ancient Egypt. I read that some believe he was a god of inventions too, like inventing the Egyptian alphabet, astronomy, astrology, and many other things too. Oh, and seasons and dates. I read he had a month named after him that ran from like mid-September to mid-October, the 11th to the 10th, I believe. That's pretty cool, huh? He was also known as a patron and protector of scribes and was responsible for recording things like history and records and, of course, secret knowledge. I mean, come on. Of course he's going to record secret knowledge. Oh, and just like Hermes, the Greek god, he was also known for some pretty cool magic and knowledge. I mean, he was a source of divine wisdom and was, and well, is sought after by those seeking knowledge. As a wisdom keeper, he was trusted and was also a trusted advisor and mediator. He would be called on to resolve conflicts and even be the judge in disagreements between gods. And it's also said that in the afterlife, he played a role in the judgment of souls after death. He ensured, too, that things were fair and balanced, you see, with the whole measuring of the heart. So he definitely symbolizes truth and justice. Now, just like there was something about Hermes, the Greek god, and the night, remember? Thoth is said to be connected to the moon and to be a lunar deity. Well, another similarity, huh? Now, there's a toss-up on his birth, right? On Thoth's birth. Some say that he was born from the nothingness, basically creating himself, being his own son and father. Others say that he was the son of Set, that he was birthed from Set's forehead and came out actually fully grown, a fully grown adult. I think that's funny. The forehead, huh? A little knowledge baby god. Now, I also remember reading another story about Thoth and Set, and it included the power of Thoth's magical healing. Now, the story goes, Set had killed Osiris, which was Isis's husband, right? Well, Isis went to Thoth and was like, "Hey, can you help me? Can you help me put my husband back together? Can you help me resurrect him, bring him back to life?" You see, Set had cut up Osiris and placed pieces of him all over the land. I think it was like 14 different locations, I think. And Isis would go out searching for the pieces of her husband and would actually wind up building a temple at every location, right? So Thoth provided Isis with the magical words to resurrect Osiris. So yeah, Thoth got some magical properties going on too, huh? Just like our friend Hermes, the Greek god too. So another similarity. And also, just as Hermes, the Greek god, was said to be able to travel through worlds and had dealings in the underworld, well, so did Thoth. I remember a story about Thoth going to the underworld to battle a demon serpent. Now, it's not a giant like Hermes, but, I mean, it's a pretty spectacular story. And did I mention that Thoth also had a mansion in the underworld? Oh, yeah. And he would let souls rest there and provide them with teachings for their walk into paradise, their journey forward. So yeah, there are a lot of similarities between the two gods. So I can see how when the Greek followers of Hermes came to Egypt after the conquest of Alexander the Great, they all kind of began to adopt many of the gods into their pantheon. And like Hermes and Thoth, two became one in syncretism. Both were guides, patrons of words and messages and writing and knowledge itself. Both seem to be all about some learning and teaching, all about that wisdom. Oh, and let's not forget secret teachings. Even in Egypt, there was a city, Kamunu. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. I think it's Kumunu. It changed its name to Hermopolis. Hermopolis. I like the sound of that. Hermopolis. I'm gonna go to Hermopolis. And well, it was named after Hermes. So yeah, their reputation soared, and they became known as Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great. Two becomes one, one becomes three. Hold on. Isn't that like an axiom? I think it's like the axiom of Maria or something. I don't know. We're going to have to look into that, because I feel like that may be like a puzzle piece within this whole thing. It may have something to do with the threes too. I feel like I'm giving myself hints to something I need to journey into. So yeah, we may be doing that. Let's see. Hermes Trismegistus. So one of the earliest mentions of the god Hermes Trismegistus as a writer comes from a Christian thinker, Clement of Alexandria. Now, he believed that Hermes wrote 42 sacred books containing all the world's knowledge. And then there was this pagan philosopher, Iamblichus. All the time butchering names. You're so lucky that I say Trismegistus correct, because most of the time I want to say Trismegistus. So yeah, this pagan philosopher, he said that Hermes Trismegistus wrote 20,000 sacred books. So yeah, there's a toss up on that too, huh? Now, by the late period, Hermes had definitely gone from messenger god to a really important figure with his own religious and philosophical traditions. Of course, the date of these texts are disputed. I mean, some agree on the 1st century, and of course, the writings were controversial. I mean, with all of its mystical teachings and talks of the higher state of consciousness. The Hermetic corpus attributed to Hermes Trismegistus talks about introspection and contemplation, reincarnation and purification of the soul, and the divine mind. The central magical concept that comes from the Hermetic corpus is the idea that everything is a reflection of the divine mind. Kind of sounds like to me it's like nourishment for the soul, spiritual nourishment. One with everything, one with the divine, a reflection of that. So that's beautiful. I can definitely have some more of that. Hermes' writings would become this central focus, and in the Renaissance period, alchemy, which we've talked about in our previous episodes, would be attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. I feel like that probably has a lot to do with the correlation of magic and it kind of being seen as the occult, wouldn't you think? But also the Emerald Tablets, the Book of Thoth, came about or was discovered. And it is highly regarded to alchemists as the foundation of the art of alchemy. Now, I know I mentioned before that we're going to have to journey deeper into the Emerald Tablets, so stay tuned for that one. Wherever you're listening from, make sure you subscribe or follow for more on that. Because, yeah, I'm really thinking it's time to journey into the beyond on the Emerald Tablets. What do you guys think? So, yeah, what do you guys think about this? Are they one and the same? Hermes, Greek god, and Thoth, Egyptian god? If you had been alive during that period, would you have seen them as one? I mean, or would you have been like, just in agreement to kind of keep the peace? Or would you like wholeheartedly believe that they are one? I don't know. I mean, either way it goes, they are powerful deities that hold so much wisdom and even to this day can share their knowledge. And I'm all for that. So, on that note, I hope you have enjoyed this journey into the beyond, and until next time, stay full of wonder, keep seeking answers, and keep journeying into the beyond.